You ever see someone so quiet you swear they're invisible, and then, out of nowhere, they save everyone? Yeah, that happened on Flight 447, a Tuesday morning from Chicago to Denver. When both engines blew and everyone looked around like, who's going to fix this? Meanwhile, Sarah Chin, sitting in 12B, reading a cookie recipe, became the only reason anyone survived. Let me back up a sec. Sarah looked like any other passenger, faded blue jeans, a navy sweater, hair in a simple ponytail. No pilot wings, no uniform, nothing to suggest she had spent 8,000 hours flying commercial jets or spent years in the military as an aviator. Today, she just wanted a break from it all, a weekend with her parents in Denver. A real vacation after 10 months of back-to-back flights, sick pilots to cover, and endless annual training. Her coffee was black, her magazine open to chocolate chip cookies. Flying was her job, baking her escape. Next to her, Mike, a businessman in 12A, fidgeted with his laptop, gold watch flashing, beads of sweat forming despite the cool cabin. Is it normal for these planes to make so much noise? He asked nervously. Sarah glanced up, smiled gently. Completely normal. Those engines are healthy, powerful by design. She reassured him softly, keeping her identity a secret. After all, today she was just Sarah, the passenger, not Captain Chin. A few rows behind, Lisa struggled with her crying 6-month-old. Sarah leaned back to offer advice, simple things, bottle, pacifier, swallowing to equalize ear pressure. Lisa thanked her, puzzled. Are you a mother? She asked. No, Sarah said. Just someone who's flown enough to notice what works. She kept her real experience under wraps. Up front, everything looked calm. Captain Rodriguez and First Officer Thompson ran their usual checks. Perfect weather, instruments all normal. Fuel steady, oil pressures fine, engines humming like they always did. But inside the left engine, microscopic cracks were forming in a turbine blade, metal fatigue hiding behind flawless dials. Most wouldn't notice. But Sarah did, a subtle shift in pitch that only trained ears could detect. She paused, second-guessing herself, but something nagged at her. Minutes later, the first engine exploded. Coffee flew. Magazines scattered, screams filled the cabin. Mike turned ghost white. Panic rose like a tidal wave. Sarah stayed calm. She peeked out her window, saw black smoke, shredded metal. Engine failure. Not the end of the world. Commercial jets can fly on one engine, but serious. Then, 8 minutes later, the right engine went. Twice the bang, twice the violence, oxygen masks dropping. Plane descending, passengers hugging, praying, screaming. Total power loss. Sarah could no longer hide. Lives depended on her. She moved to the galley, where Jenny, a young flight attendant, was frantic. Both engines are out, right? Sarah asked. Jenny froze. How do you know that? My name is Captain Sarah Chin, she said firmly. United Airlines, 8,000 flight hours. Dual engine failure trained. I need to help the cockpit, now. Jenny hesitated for a heartbeat, then nodded. Together, they went forward. In the cockpit, Rodriguez and Thompson were sweating. Instruments screaming, descending 1,800 feet per minute, 78 miles from Kansas City International. We can't make it, Thompson said. Sarah took over, calm, precise, calculating glide ratios in her head, scanning for alternatives. Highways, open fields, anything. Then she saw it. Interstate 70, straight, minimal curves, about 38 miles ahead. She directed weight redistribution, passengers forward to optimize the center of gravity. Rodriguez relayed instructions. Passengers moved. Fear mingled with obedience. Sarah calculated, coached. Adjusted glide speed, 240 knots. Clean configuration until final approach. Every move critical. They could make it, but just barely. At 15,000 feet, Sarah spotted the highway. For miles of usable road, construction barriers reducing traffic. Perfect. She instructed a long, straight-in approach like a precision instrument landing, flaps delayed until necessary. Touchdown first quarter of the available stretch. Emergency vehicles were lining up as they descended, lights flashing, sirens ready. Approach profile? Thompson asked. Stabilized. Clean configuration, late flaps, Sarah answered. Airspeed 145 knots, descent rate precise. She coached Rodriguez through the flare. Nose up, smooth, steady. At 50 feet, 40, 30 touchdown. Thump. Tires screamed on concrete. Aircraft bounced, settled, rolling nearly a mile, gradually slowing. The cabin erupted. Cheers, cries, relief, laughter. Passengers hugged. Thanked God. Some collapsed on his seats. Emergency slides deployed. For minutes later, all 143 passengers were safely on the highway. And only then did they realize the quiet woman with the cookie recipe had been the hero all along. A small twist? Mike, the anxious businessman, had been traveling with a secret. He owned the company contracting emergency services along that stretch of highway. His panic turned to stunned gratitude, and he quietly ensured that rescue coordination had been spot on. A behind-the-scenes miracle unnoticed by anyone but him and Sarah. Sarah's vacation wasn't ruined. She'd saved lives. She stood among grateful passengers, emergency responders. A strange mix of relief and adrenaline running through her. The textbook Perfect Emergency Landing became an instant case study in crew resource management, using all available expertise. Staying calm under pressure, making life-or-death decisions in real time. The takeaway? Heroes don't always wear uniforms, and courage sometimes sits quietly beside you, flipping through a magazine, thinking about chocolate chip cookies. That quiet woman in 12B changed the outcome for 143 lives. And the debate remains, was it luck, skill, or a little bit of both? You decide. This version maintains the cinematic pacing, humanizes Sarah, emphasizes tension, includes a minor twist, Mike's background, and finishes with an open-ended call to action for engagement. Clutched her baby tightly and turned to Sarah. You saved us, she whispered, tears streaming. Sarah gave a small smile, trying not to let her own hands shake. We all did this together. That landing could have ended very differently. Meanwhile, Mike, the anxious businessman, stood frozen for a moment before his face shifted into disbelief and awe. He'd spent the last hours sweating over spreadsheets and PowerPoints, but now he saw the real, raw power of human skill and calm under pressure. I can't believe it, he said quietly. Came as a local news crew arrived to cover the unprecedented highway landing. They assumed the pilots handled it solo, but Sarah didn't disappear back into anonymity. She stepped forward, introduced herself, and let the cameras capture her story. Suddenly, the quiet passenger, the one everyone had ignored, became the centerpiece of the narrative, proof that expertise, calm, and courage could appear anywhere, even in the most ordinary-looking person. Rodriguez and Thompson, the official cockpit crew, gave her a nod of respect she hadn't needed but deeply appreciated. They'd faced emergencies before, sure, but this was new. Both engines out, powerless glide, improvising a highway landing in a heavily trafficked area with no margin for error. It was unprecedented. Mike muttered, still pale but smiling. Sarah laughed softly. Yeah, that happened, she said, feeling a release she hadn't known she needed. Later, in the media storm, interviews, and social media clips, Sarah emphasized one thing: preparation and teamwork. Flying is never a solo effort, she told reporters, even if you're trained. The public was fascinated, not just by the miracle landing, but by the ordinary appearance of the hero. Someone who could sit quietly, flipping pages about apple pie, yet possessed the skills to command a powerless Boeing 737 to safety. The story sparked debates online. Did she break protocol by entering the cockpit? Should passengers ever intervene in emergencies? Was it skill or sheer luck? People argued heatedly, but most agreed on one point: she had saved lives. That night, Sarah finally sat down for the first time since the incident, coffee in hand, watching news footage of herself on Interstate 70. Her parents called, voice trembling with relief and pride. I've never been so glad you didn't tell me you were flying this flight. She knew she'd never look at flights the same way again. The ordinary passenger seat, the magazine in hand, the calm facade, it had all been her disguise. And yet it had given her the clarity to act when every second counted. Heroes, she thought, sometimes sit quietly beside you, hidden in plain sight, waiting for the moment to step into the light. And as people retold the story, debated the ethics, celebrated the survival, Sarah considered what mattered most: the lives saved. 143 people walked away from a situation that could have ended in tragedy. And maybe that's the thing. Sometimes, The most remarkable moments aren't about accolades, awards, or recognition. The quietest passenger is the one who changes everything.